Not too many of our members use a Google Drive, but that's our history. That's everything from way back. And it's off, all of it's off my computer. But I investigated several different programs, and that seemed to be the easiest. And I must add that I'm in Washington State, and our state league has a license and they have space for some of the smaller leagues. So they're allowing us to join under their license. And
That's
so
nice.
that's what I've been doing. That saves us 100 and some bucks or more.
Right. Yeah, I
But
understand that
yeah,
Google Workspace as a nonprofit, we
right.
can get that. So
Yeah, that's definitely
I think
worth
it's,
looking into if your league
yeah,
already is using, the drive. And then, yeah, if we're talking about
try
other Google products,
and
that would be,
no,
the easiest way to have
the
it all in one
yeah,
space where you can all get to it.
but
the
everything changes. You
forms,
don't get to keep your old name or anything.
Right.
we
Yeah,
did.
that I mean
Well,
it is a probably a rough transition period, but then when you don't have to worry about having any league stuff in your personal Google Drive, gives you that peace of mind because I know if anything were to happen, I probably have files scattered everywhere, but having that Google Workspace as a central location for your league files is great.
yeah,
I'm going to go
I,
ahead and have us jump into our analytics conversation. Last session, we did talk about Google Analytics. We reviewed how to install analytics. So definitely, and we have other trainings on that as well. So look back at those videos if you have not already connected your analytics to your MyLO site. And then we obviously set up the Google Analytics account and property. And then we talked a little bit about some essential reports for beginners. Today, we're going to talk about filtering data by a country. Last time we talked a little bit about how you may have noticed an increase in data from or traffic from Singapore that may not have been there before. And it's mostly just bot traffic, with the rise of and popularity of AI, we may see more traffic like that. So to make your reports a little bit cleaner, we're going to talk about how to filter that out. We'll talk a little bit also about filtering out internal traffic because that's also possible, but we'll go over some of the limitations with that. And then in my reminder email, I mentioned Google Search Console. We'll talk about connecting that to your analytics and then what those reports would look like. Okay. So let's start out with filtering out data, and it can be from any country that you specify. I'm going to drop a link in the chat. There's technically 4 ways to filter this data out, but I'm going to focus on adding a filter to a customized report. So the 4 ways they mention using filters in standard reports. So I'll show you what that looks like. And this is with any report. So, there's collections are the higher heading in gray, and then there's like subject areas within each collection. So click on any one report that's not an overview. So if you're going to use filters in a standard report, they are temporary, basically. It allows you to search by the dimension, and then you would choose, whatever criteria there. I said, it's temporary because it doesn't, if you refresh your page or you're coming back a week later, you would have to go through adding that filter again. And then another way is using comparisons for a side-by-side analysis. So very similar. This involves a little bit more steps because then technically you can create a new audience and then you would specify, just US or the audience that excludes these countries. And then that audience can then be persistent throughout your analytics account and you can pull it up as a comparison in any filter, or I'm sorry, any report. But that again requires if you're coming back a week later and you're trying to look at that comparison again, you'd have to add that manually and go through those steps, but you wouldn't have to create it new. And then before I get to the third one that we're actually going to go over, then the last one is applying a persistent filter in an exploration. So this is where custom reports comes in. I find it easier to work with an existing report just because you don't have to build everything from the ground up. But if you were going through that, I think it's, explore here. So if you were trying to play around with the explorations, you could try those steps there. But like I said, we will go ahead and add a filter to a customized report. For this example, let's do traffic acquisition. And this is one of the good beginner reports. If you're just getting started with putting together what you should be sharing with your other league leaders, traffic acquisition talks about where are they coming from. So are they coming directly to your website using a direct link? Organic search being that they, went online, typed up some terms in search and ended up on your website. And then unassigned, you will often see unassigned or not set just because some miscommunication of the cookies or the way that that visitor is traveling the internet, the data may not be getting captured. So traffic acquisition, and this is for any report. So if you clicked on any other report, you'd follow the same steps if you were looking to filter it. All right, we click on the little pencil, customize report. We add a filter and search for country in the dimensions. You can go with exactly matches, but this, if you just select the US, this would exclude those who would come up as unassigned or not set. So just in case you wanted to capture, everything but whichever countries you don't want to see, and you can pick a good number of them. In my testing, I don't know if it was a thing of just by chance or I chose a good number of countries and it kind of made an error. I would say play around with it. If you've selected a good number of countries, maybe try selecting fewer, especially if you aren't even seeing those countries on your reports. You could save yourself time on just selecting the core ones. So we apply that, and then we need to save. And you can save this on top of your existing report so that you just know every time I come into my traffic acquisition, it's going to be cleaner data. Or save that as a new report. Name that whatever you'd like that to be, and we save. So if we were to save this as changes to the current report, then it would, overlay the current report and we would be able to get to that from this reports tab. Whoops, need to expand this. So acquisition. But because I saved it as a brand new report, it's not by default, it doesn't get dropped into my report manager. So it's not automatically already listed here anywhere. I have to add it in. So let's go over to library. And like I said before, these are all different collections in gray. So I have life cycle. I think I'll just add my US traffic acquisition under that same folder. So we edit the life cycle collection. I think sorry, let me move this zoom toolbar. I can't see the bottom of my page. Okay. So on the right-hand side, these are going to be all the reports available in your analytics account. I think they're always in alphabetical order. I think so. And if by chance your new custom reports aren't in alphabetical order, always just check the bottom of the list. But I have my US traffic acquisition report. I just grab those little dots and move it over to where I want it in this collection. And then we can save. Again, it's asking if you want it to change the current collection or do you want to save a brand new collection. This time, I just want the changes to my current collection made. Okay, and then now we can go back. And then when I check under that collection, now I have the US traffic acquisition. So definitely fewer steps if you were to just apply your changes to the existing report. But if you wanted to have two different views, then that is how you can do that there. And then we talked about last time, but it never hurts to go over this one. If you were looking to send the data, whether it's to yourself or you wanted to send the reports directly to others in your league, you can always send an email, schedule an email, sharing the link, which I think requires them to have at least viewing access. At least that is the only one that requires, viewing permissions at the very least. If you send an email or schedule an email or download the file, then they don't need permissions to be able to do that. Any questions so far?
So, Maurice,
Yes.
when you schedule an email, does that send the report, excuse me, at that point in time?
I believe, okay, it looks like you can set the date. I'm not sure of the time. Let's see.
Well, I mean, does it generate the report for that email? Or,
Yes, like
okay.
it will have
It's
the
not like
updates.
there's a regularly run report and then you schedule it to be sent at a different time. It's like they create the report at the time that that email is sent.
Yes, so like if I set it up today, they would get all of the data leading up until today, and then next month they would get that data, in between. I don't know what they actually look like because I haven't tested it myself. But you can choose between PDF or CSV format. PDF obviously is going to have the more visual aspect because it'll include the graphs that are at the top. The CSV will be very just data heavy, text heavy. Okay. Actually,
Cameras.
yes.
I was trying to follow along here, but when I click on my left side under reports,
Mm-hmm.
I don't have that life cycle item.
You may not. So if that is the case, still under reports, scroll all the way to the bottom and click on library.
Yeah.
And then where you see collections, look for that life cycle one, and then yours probably says unpublish or that it's unpublished. Go ahead and click on those three dots to select publish. Let me see if I can find another one of my demo accounts that matches.
Oh, that did it. Okay, I got it.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Yeah, no problem. And that goes for anybody. If you have a default, there we go. I think life cycle is one of those collections that by default, I don't know why it's not published. It's a really helpful set of reports. So yeah, just publish it and it adds itself in there. I think you can also, can you rearrange these maybe? They might be in alphabetical order. Yeah. Well, I guess you could rearrange them by renaming them, adding a numbered system if you really wanted them to be in a certain order. Um, but yeah, and then from there, if like drive sales is probably not going to have really any data for us because we don't have any e-commerce that happens on the MyLO website. Any payments or anything that get accepted are outside of it, like PayPal or Stripe, whatever it may be. So you can always take, an entire folder of reports away or go within those and take reports out of there. So you can also clean up your collections and make this report manager a lot, more useful to you. Okay, any other questions? We're going to talk about filtering internal traffic. So to get there, let's first talk about that. So we go to admin. Make sure I'm following my own steps correctly. Oh, yes. Okay. Data streams under data collection and modification. And this is assuming that you've already set up the connection between your analytics account and MyLO site, because this wouldn't exist if you didn't already have that connection. So we click on the web stream, scroll down, configure tag settings, and scroll down to show more and define internal traffic. So before we actually create anything, the limitation with this is that it is only by IP address that you can limit this traffic. That is helpful when we are talking about static IP addresses, but IP addresses aren't always static. And then if you are working on different Wi-Fi networks, especially public ones, or you're on your cell phone, it gets kind of just harder and harder to track those specific IPs that you'll be using. So definitely this is one way to do it. If you were to go this route, I would suggest using IP address equals. Excuse me, because if you happen to, like if you use IP address contains, you may catch more IP addresses than you were looking for, and then you might be filtering your data more than you were expecting. So IP address equals, and then this just opens up a Google search to look up what is my IP. And I found that whatismyip.com was a helpful website. And it's pretty quick in letting you know what your IP address is. So that's one way. And you just enter that in and create. Actually, let's go ahead and do that. Oh, whoops. Okay. So we gave it a name, we put the IP address and made sure that it was equal to that. So that's one way. There's an alternative of using a plugin, a browser plugin. If you find yourself always using, the same browser on your personal laptop, or I don't know if it's available on cell phone. I think it's just desktop or laptop browsers. But it is, whoops, I don't have the name of it. I have it here. What it's called. Google Analytics opt-out add-on. And supposedly it is available on not just Chrome, but Firefox Edge and Safari. I have not tested that myself, but I have tested it out on Chrome, and it does, show that it's working. You can make it so that it only accesses certain websites. If you were, wanting to be gracious and provide your data to other sites that you visit, but you want to, hide your own traffic from your own sites, you can pick and choose which websites it will have access to. So I dropped the link to that browser plugin. This filtering of internal traffic is totally optional, and even the filtering of traffic from other countries, completely optional. But we've definitely gotten the question about seeing more traffic from other countries. So that's just one way to get that off of your data so that you can present cleaner reports. And so filtering internal traffic is another way of doing that as well. But sometimes our own traffic may not even be that much to the site. So again, it may not be beneficial to you to go through those steps. Any questions about filtering any of that traffic? Okay. All right, so now we're going to talk about Google Search Console. This is what the Google Search Console looks like. It is another product of Google. And we don't make it, I mean, neither of these tools are required to use, but it's another tool that helps you see into the kind of back end of your site, what happens before folks get to your site, or at the moment that they reach your site. So you can make it so that you get some of this data in your analytics account so that you're only going, if need be, you just have to go to the analytics and you'll see the most helpful data from here there. So as I said in the email, the first step actually requires me to create the Google Search Console property. So all I would need from you, if you were interested in having that, is just reaching out to me with your MyLO URL, and then whichever Gmail that you are using to either set up, or you've already set up your analytics account. Share that with me so that I can add the new property and then add that user, add you or whoever. And it can be, I don't think there's a limit for adding users. So if it's one or more people, unless you specify, I'm adding them all as an owner. There's the owner, the full, and then I think a viewer. So just depending on how you want folks to have access. But as far as having at least one owner, that's going to be the account that's connected to the analytics. So that once I add that Gmail as owner, it will show up where you need to add that. So let me actually find those steps. Okay, so do I have it for this example? We do not. Okay. So I'm going to take the first step as Amari's the admin, not as the, MyLO webmaster. I'll add the property. And again, like I said, this is not a step you need to worry about. You just need to let me know what your league URL is, or just league name, and then the Gmails or Google accounts that should be associated. Because that's all it takes on my end is creating that there, and then I add a user. And I'll make them an owner. And then this is where I, email you back. All right, that's set up. It's ready for you to make the connection. And so then now I'm back as a MyLO webmaster. I've gotten that confirmation email. So I say, okay, let me go into my admin under product links, search console links. We click on the link button. And then when we choose accounts, we now see it listed as an active one to choose. And we confirm. And next. And then select web stream. Again, it should just be one option typically from that property we just selected. And then next. And just confirming the two selections we've made. We submit that. Analytics says about at least 48 hours, allow at least 48 hours to start seeing that data be collected. It may be a little bit sooner than that. But let me show you what then those reports look like. So when we go back to reports, you'll see a new collection, Search Console. You'll have a report of the queries and a report of Google organic search traffic. Let me actually go to a different property so we can see something with some data in it. Okay, so sorry, I just wanted to get the full name. Landing page and query string. I'm not sure why it doesn't by default have the query string. Oh, no, I always confuse query string with like their search query, but no, that if there were like an additional portion on the URL, like the question mark that appends parameters to the URL, but that is not part of this here. But this is going to tell you what page folks landed on. I don't think that we can see query terms from here. We cannot. So it looks like queries, its own separate report would probably be better for that. Okay, so then the other way around, you can see the queries or the terms that they were being searched by, and then you can say landing page. So if you wanted to see what people were searching for and where they landed, oh, does it not let you select that? Huh. I guess not. Well, that's a little disappointing. I think that might be something available directly in the Search Console. I actually haven't tested that myself. Let's see. So we have search results. It does keep them separate, which is a bit unfortunate. But at least here directly in the Google Search Console, if you were trying to see the pages associated with these queries, it doesn't give you like a one-to-one, they searched this, they landed here. But it does give it to you based on clicks and impressions. So that gives you a little bit deeper dive than what we get with this connection to analytics. But this is still a powerful tool if you're just trying to really gauge what folks are searching for. Because technically, if you are seeing the data in this queries report, that means they searched whatever these terms were and landed somewhere on your site. And then I'm going to pause real quick. What does the Search Console accomplish? How is it used? So the Search Console is connected to Google Search, and it tracks the impressions that you get and the clicks. So impressions are anytime that your league site came up in an online search result page. So I can't remember if it's as granular as, well, they didn't get to the 5th page and your league's website was on the 5th page, so it doesn't get counted, or it was part of the overall search, even though they, didn't get to that particular page you were on, but you still get that impression counted. I think it's about the particular page, but then the clicks is obviously what they actually clicked on to get through to your website. Any questions?
So is this where, would you be able to put a filter on this?
No, well, from the analytics you can.
Okay.
So here, going back, we could do the same thing, and I don't actually, I'm not sure, because it looks like my report came in. I think this is because I set that up. Let me go back to a demo one.
So, Amaris, does this
Yes.
only look at Google search and not other search engines?
I believe so. Sorry, I'm trying to find a queries report that isn't already customized. Oh, okay, then they all do come in with a report filter already. Yeah, I'm not sure then if this queries report is as forgiving or as able to be changed like how we showed at the beginning, because it's already got this filter. I want to see if that changes things if I remove it. No, you cannot remove it. So for this one, let's see, what were some of the other ways? Maybe it might have to be a temporary filter or creating that new audience. So when you add comparison, you can create new, and then does not exactly match, and then go through and choose whichever ones you don't want included. And I would say save. Because then, yeah, if you save the comparison, then you'll be able to reuse that comparison in a different report. So let's say going over to Google organic search traffic, then we can turn on that comparison. Does that answer your question?
I'll play with it.
Okay. Yeah, a lot of this sometimes really,
This is a lot to absorb.
yes. Once you get your hands on it and you start actually moving around in your own system, then you're like, oh, okay. Things start to click at that point too, if you're feeling like this is a lot. Did I miss any question? Okay, yeah. Thank you, Maddie, for saying your question out loud. Okay. Any other questions?
Amherst, I have one.
Yeah, go for it.
You may have covered this on the earlier session that I missed, but I have a couple of basic kind of things. Somewhere along the setups and everything, it asked for the CMS platform for MyLO. What is that?
That you can actually, there's a question of, let me see if I don't know if I can get to that spot without creating a new one.
Yeah,
Let me
somewhere in
just
the
do
account
that real
settings,
quick.
it asked that.
Was it here maybe? No. And I'm sorry, say it again one more time.
They asked for a CMS platform.
CMS platform. Okay. I think it's here under data stream. So part of the steps when you're setting up your new analytics account or property, the like second to last step, it's asking you to set up your data stream. That's where you enter in your MyLO address. And then once it says, okay, here's your code, then it asks you, what is your CMS type or your, basically it's asking what platform is your website built on, but we don't
Right.
have to worry about that. Let me see if I think it's here. No. View tag instructions. Here we go. I think it's the tag instructions. There we go. So we don't want to install with a website builder or CMS. We want to install manually. So
Okay.
you can just ignore that first question. We install manually, and then we'll copy. I suggest using the little icon so that you make sure you're copying in its entirety. And then just to complete the step. Oh, I'm not as a webmaster right now. Well, I was going to show where on your MyLO homepage you do that, but it's taking a second. So there's a specific spot under advanced settings in your MyLO homepage. See if I can show it.
In case anybody is wondering, I had a little run-in with the brick wall in the yard the other day,
No.
but it's okay.
I'm glad to hear that you are okay. That is not a fun one there. Okay, so advanced settings. I already have a tag here. But especially if you're coming into an inherited MyLO site and you see something here and it has UA, you can get rid of that. The UA refers to Universal Analytics, and that is a version of Google Analytics that is no longer used. So As long as the code starts with the G, that tells you, okay, there's possibly already tracking if you don't already know what that analytics account might be. That could give you your first clue. The hard part is that if you do have tracking already set up, but you weren't the one to do it, there isn't any obvious way, like through the Google tag, to know where it originated. But it doesn't hurt if you do end up replacing it or if you add another Google tag underneath. But make sure that if you are plugging the tag in, make sure that your text format is set to full HTML first. And then just publish your changes and save. If I was working with a brand new setup, then this test button can be helpful. Sometimes during my actual testing before last week's session or last time's session, this button was not really working for me, but sometimes was, sometimes wasn't. So I wouldn't say to completely rely on this button. If you know that you've plugged in the tag and you didn't miss any parts, then it's just a matter of time.
Okay.
And the other thing too, if you really were like, I just want an indication that it's working, you can always go over to either one of these real-time reports, real-time overview or real-time pages. This data collection is usually pretty quick. Again, maybe it might take a little bit of time, so give it 30 minutes, give it an hour maybe, and check back if you really wanted to make sure. Like, I don't want to wait the full 48 hours before I check to see if it's working and then I find out it's not. This is one of those ways that you might be able to tell.
Maris, I have just a quick question when you're looking at top page views. When it says, I'm at Oconee Pickens, it says Oconee and Pickens County / MyLO, or it says /MyLO. What is that? What is that collecting the views from? Is that the home page?
Yeah, there's let me pull that up so other folks can see a similar one. I think it's just pages and screens. Is that the report you're looking at?
It's a top page or a report snapshot is what I'm looking at.
Gotcha. Okay. So it might be the same. Let's just go over to pages and screens. So I think, okay, yeah. So you're probably looking at page title and screen name. There's different dimensions that you can choose from. I mean, they're all helpful. Page path and screen class for me is most helpful because it tells you like the URL exactly. But the page title, either screen name or screen class, either one of those, if you see that, that's usually referring to like a MyLO feed type of page. So you might see well, actually, no, these are separate here.
Yeah.
I was going to say that it might be like the articles page, but that's what that is here. This, I'm not sure what types of MyLO pages might fall under that. Let me see if the page path gives us any indication. I am not sure. I can ask our developers if they have an idea of what that might be. But when it comes to your league's name, being before that /MyLO, that's your home page.
Okay, that's what I made the assumption, but I just wanted to make sure. But yeah, the other one just /MyLO, I had no idea. So yeah, that'd be great.
Awesome. Thank you for the question. Hey, Mary Jo, go for it. Oh, I'm going to unmute you. Can I unmute you?
Sorry.
No, you're good.
So I happened to have printed off a page from the Google Analytics. It says
Mhm.
performance insights, dive deeper into page and screen level metrics. And
Mhm.
so, yeah, I got the same thing with our Dearborn and then slash MyLO, 950 for views, active users, 955. I doubt that. And then it says bounce rate, 97%. And then it goes down and it has an actual article, which is always the same article about photo ID. It does not make sense. And again, 53 bounce rate. And then it's got, again, Dearborn Heights MyLO with 500 views and a 32% bounce rate. And then when you had the MyLO or the thing Bow by itself, I had 158 views and 71% bounce rate.
Hmm.
So I have no idea. I don't really care. I did see somebody put in the thing on Gmail something about they didn't say Russians, but foreign people coming in. I know that's maybe a different issue, but I wonder if somehow it's related to all this silliness.
Yeah, I wonder that too. It would be interesting to see if you applied a filter, how different would the data look? Like you could that might be a good use of the comparison. So let me add it again so we can show that. If you add a comparison, I think okay, I don't think it's saved. If we create a new comparison and we search country, and you put does not exactly match. So we don't want to say matches United States. We want to say does not exactly match whichever countries you want to exclude. So let's just go with the two we've mentioned today. Singapore, Russia. Just exclude those. I'd say save. I'm not sure the difference between save and apply. Apply maybe is a one-time thing. But saving, you definitely have it up here, and I probably should have changed it to US only. But then you can see, all right, I go back to all users versus comparing all users against my US only traffic. So my demo site got a spike of 328 users on the 18th, but from all the other countries other than Singapore and Russia, there were only 3. So definitely that might be worth looking into, Mary Jo. You might see a big difference in your report if
Is that what you
throw
went
that
over
in.
today about how to do a filter?
Yeah,
So,
there's a
okay,
couple of ways that you can do it too.
so if I look later on, I don't know, a week or so at videos, I would see that.
Yes, yes. This
Thank you.
one that we just talked about, we went over more towards the end, but the other way to filter that kind of traffic from your report, yeah, it's at the beginning. I'll have the recording up as soon as I can.
I'm just wondering if you get more usage. I know it's more work for you, but when you do send an email saying, "Hey, today we're having our office hours," maybe with a link to the previous one. I don't know. Probably
Yeah,
more work.
I can at the very least have the link to all the recordings.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because then you can search from there.
Yeah.
Can, can you put it in the chat?
Yes.
Thank you.
And if you ever lose the link, you can always go to the MyLO homepage. You go to it from our footer. And we have a link to our documentation and straight to the video search page. Make sure that I think the last session's, yep, the last session's video is up there. Any other questions?
Well, I had one unrelated to what you were just talking about, but in a previous office hours we talked about calendar subscriptions, and I think I must have gone to try and do it and wasn't able to do it because my question is, where would calendar subscription show up?
Yeah.
Uh,
They would show up in your calendar. The calendar is a little bit different than like the action alerts or the articles or positions. The calendar is going to be one integrated list. So subscribed events and your events come together in chronological order, as opposed to like action alerts. We have my league's action alerts and then my league's subscribed action alerts. But the thing about the calendar, subscribed events must be published and upcoming. So if there are past events, you won't see them here. You should see them in your past events list. Yeah, so if that is possibly what's happening, if their events have already passed, that could be it. Otherwise, if you are seeing their events on their calendar but not on yours, definitely let me know so
okay.
that I can
You know,
look into it.
I'm looking at this question. I'm wondering, maybe I just wanted to know, where do I sign up to
Where
get
to
a
add them?
subscription for the calendar?
Oh, for sure. So
Um,
let's do that. That is going to be through your homepage. So whether we're talking about subscribing to another MyLO League's calendar events, action alerts, articles, positions, it's all going to be in the same spot. So make a new draft or edit draft of your homepage.
okay, so homepage.
Scroll down to subscriptions
Oh, I thought I did. Okay.
and then add in how many ever leagues you want to subscribe to in those 4 categories.
Events. Okay.
And
And
then
obviously they have to be MyLO people.
Right. And then
Um,
like, for example, I have the US under events. The US the National League does not post events on MyLO. So although they're there listed and I added them, I won't get that content because it does not exist.
okay, I'll try again and see, and let you know. Thanks.
Yeah. And make sure you publish. I don't know if I
Okay.
can't recall that may
Sometimes I
affect it or
forget to
not.
do that. Yeah. Okay.
Any other questions? Let's see if there was anything
I've
else.
got a couple of quick ones.
Yeah.
I redirect from Namecheap to the MyLO webpage, so we don't have the long, URL. Is there any impact on the Google Analytics because of doing that?
No.
I wouldn't think so, but I was just wondering about that.
Yeah, the site is remains hosted at the MyLO address. Our URL or our domain my.lwv.org does really well in search engine results, and even leagues that are using those domains that is like a shorter vanity URL, they still get the same benefit of using the my.lwv.org.
And my other quick question is that when I'm at home on analytics and I look at the accounts, I seem to have gotten 2 accounts somehow.
When you go to your analytics?
Yeah. I don't know how that happened.
Was
And
it an account that you see like in my menu here under analytics accounts? Is that what you're referring to?
yes,
Okay. Maybe you were added to one? Is that possible? Because that's how like this one here for MyLO, I didn't create this account myself, but I was added to this property, MyLO GA4. So then it then added that property and its account to my list. Is that a possibility? Or maybe at a previous time you created a separate account?
no,
It's not going to hurt anything on your analytics if you have two separate accounts. You just will be tracking possibly
Well,
additional data.
one of them is like you have there is starred on the right,
Mm-hmm.
and the other one, when I click on it, has nothing, like your others there.
Okay. So maybe it was the initial one, the unstarred one, just maybe wasn't completed all the way. The star is something that you would do manually. So maybe you started at one point.
So a star means what?
They also transitioned to the system. They upgraded things a few years ago.
That is right. That is right.
So
Thank you,
the
Nancy.
one with nothing in it is probably the old method.
That is correct. Yes, that is probably likely the case. If you don't recall creating that yourself, yes. So Universal
might,
Analytics was the old version. That's probably the one that has zero data right now. And
I
then,
think I think I tried to do that several months ago and didn't get anywhere.
okay, no, like Nancy said, Google went ahead and did that for accounts that they saw only was using Universal Analytics and had not yet made a Google Analytics 4 property.
Oh,
Does the new property with the star have GA4 at the end?
has what?
GA4?
Well, I don't know. How do I tell?
Just by hovering over it like I have here, like opening up that list of accounts again.
Mine just has a check mark. When I looked on the tag on the home page, it does have GA.
Okay.
But I mean, this other, do I just leave it there? Don't worry about it, or
You can delete it. It's not ever going to collect any future traffic if it truly is a UA property. But it, again, if you have it there, it's not going to hurt any of the other data that you're collecting. It won't
what's
affect it at all.
weird, if I go to the right and click in that, if I move the cursor to the right under properties and apps, it reverts back up. It shows the other one.
I am not
Um,
sure.
okay. Move your cursor over to the right under property. Yeah, see, it pumps back up there. I guess that's a normal way of working.
Yeah, because if you're selecting an account, then you have to select a property, if that's what you're
See,
referring
it
to.
won't let me select that one. I move over to the right. There's no selection or anything
If
for
that's the
the,
old property, then that's probably why, because it's
yeah.
it's the old version that no longer works.
Anyway, I don't guess there's any way to get rid of that or
You can go to admin. Well, actually, I don't know if you'll be able to go to admin because you'd have to go in that account that you're saying you cannot click through to.
yeah. Apparently it's just stuck in there and well, I guess it doesn't hurt anything. It just seems odd to me.
And it's just a little extra there that, yeah, you can't access, but you can't get rid of, unfortunately. It sounds like.
Okay.
But yeah, it won't mess up your data that you are collecting with the other reports or the other account. Any other questions?
It's Mary Jo. I was just thinking, okay, so when we were talking about Russia before, it was in the context of, maybe bogus statistics being caused by Russia. But I am talking about, and I thought I didn't read it, but the person that was asking on the Gmail thing about how we get, like somebody's contacting our page, MyLO, you have a MyLO, whatever, however it goes. And then I go in and it's, Russia, Russia, Russia. Like they're trying to contact me through my website.
That's not something you can filter through
I didn't think so.
analytics.
So
Yeah.
what was your answer to that person that asked you about that?
That was about filtering traffic through Google Analytics.
All right. Okay.
hmm
All right. Okay. I thought, when I saw it real quickly, I thought, oh, good, somebody else is having that issue, but she's not. Okay.
Yeah, no, that was
Well, I
filtering.
don't know why we are still.
Trust.
It's pretty scary. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Any other questions, folks? Okay. We'll go ahead and call it for today.
Amber, just one quickie.
Go for
Have
it.
you,
And
other than our website where you have the help information,
Mhm.
do you know of another good source for that explains Google Analytics and what everything means?
yeah, let me drop the guide that I was kind of using to get myself reacquainted. So this is an article from monsterinsights.com. I can't remember if it has a video in there or not. It might, but even Google Analytics for beginners is a good search. That could probably get you a lot of good results. Google for
Okay.
Developers always has a lot of resources. I don't know, I haven't tested it myself how beginner friendly it really is. But that is available to you too, always. Google for Developers.
Okay, looks pretty good. I got it here. Thanks.
Yeah. All right, folks. So that brings us to September 3rd as our next session.